Yeah, Josh, we've heard a lot about you and Marcus in terms of replacing Jordan. I'm curious from your perspective, having worked with Jordan, what a big task that can be, and how you guys feel like you're coming along in that aspect, given what he accomplished at Ohio State.
Uh, so far, I feel like we both improved mentally, mostly in the film room a lot, becoming leaders on the field, being more outspoken, trying to get the young guys going because we know that we're going to need some help this year. So I think that so far, being along Jordan plays a big role because usually when we first came in, we relied on a lot of our athletic ability. So Jordan helped us a lot with that mentally.
And have you kept in contact with him much now that he's out with the Rams?
Not as much. I've talked to him a couple times just to make sure he's okay, but not as much as I'd like to.
Okay, cool. Thanks, man.
No problem.
All righty, next up is Jeremy Birmingham from Letterman Row with Clay Hall on deck. Jeremy.
Hey, Josh, I'm curious just from your perspective, what the single biggest leap you've made from last year to now is to be able to step into that role as a leader, because clearly losing Jordan in the secondary, you guys have a much bigger need for that than you've had in the last few years.
I think for me, it's just like being that quarterback like he was back there. Just actually like communicating with the corners and as far as getting the defense lined up and in the right place at all times. So,
was it hard? Coming out of high school, obviously you had a lot of expectations, highly ranked, all that stuff. Were these last couple of years harder on you than you thought they would be emotionally or from a maturity standpoint?
Most definitely. I mean, the transition is a lot different going from high school to college. So I think that played a big role. So I just had to, buckle down and get myself prepared.
Thanks, man.
All righty, next up is Clay Hall from WSYX with Spencer Holbrook on deck. Clay.
Hey, Josh, thanks for the time today. I was asking Coach Barnes about kind of the mental makeup of this team and what drives it. You like that part, the heartbeat, what kind of bonds you guys and the motivation you have to make this a special year. Do you think that's the case? And is it really, I hear so much about the loss to Clemson being the thing that has this team running hot, so to speak?
I don't think it's that loss necessarily, but I think that motivated us a lot this offseason. But going in, we just want to prove that we belong and that Ohio State is here and we haven't won anywhere.
Thank you.
All righty, next up is Spencer Holbrook from Letterman Row with Stephen Means on deck. Spencer.
Josh, Marcus got into talking to us about you and him being really good friends and always pushing each other. How, not difficult, but how strange is it, maybe difficult, has it been to, be such good friends with him and go out on the practice field every day and compete for a starting spot against him?
I mean, we don't really take it to the field. I mean, on the field, we're the same way. Our relationship doesn't change. So we really just focus on each other getting better and pushing each other.
Thank you.
All right, next up is Stephen Means from Cleveland.com with Nathan Baird on deck. Stephen.
Hey, Josh, you played more snaps in that Clemson game than any other game last season, and you had some quality moments, and you also had some so-so moments. Just for your own self, I mean, just what did you kind of learn about yourself in that game and being on that stage and how you performed?
I think it being my first time, I mean, you're going to have those jitters, but all in all, I think the plays that I messed up on, I think it motivated me, pushed me a little bit to prepare, watch film more so I can notice plays before they come. So,
thanks, Josh.
All right, next up is Nathan Baird from Cleveland.com with Bill Rabinowitz on deck. Nathan.
Hey, Josh. Matt Barnes was saying that he thinks that consistency is maybe the thing that's missing from your game right now. When you hear that, what does that mean to you as an athlete? Like, what do you have to do to be more consistent?
To me, that means focus on the little details. And sometimes I get ahead of myself, I know, so I get kind of jittery back there. I'm kind of everywhere, but he just wants me to calm down and just actually read plays and just relax back there sometimes.
He was also talking about scenarios where maybe you could play something similar to what Pete Werner did last year, kind of that bullet spot more or less in the man-to-man situations. Have you been doing that in practice, and just how do you feel about that role?
Pretty much I'm pretty much a guy that says, put me in, coach, anywhere you need me. So anything they need me to do, I try to learn and focus on that position.
All right, next up is Bill Rabinowitz from the Columbus Dispatch with Dan Hope on deck. Bill.
Hi, Josh. Stephen asked you about the Clemson game. How much have you watched those last 4 plays on defense, and is it something that's kind of stuck with you?
For me, yes, it's definitely stuck. I go back and watch that game quite a bit, actually, because I feel like we should have won that game and got away from us. So, yeah, I think it really motivated me. So.
And could you kind of, I asked Marcus this, just how you guys are similar and different as players?
Honestly, I don't see any difference. Like, we're both Ranger, we're both athletic, we're both smart, we're both instinctual. So I don't think there's really any difference between us.
Okay, thanks, Josh.
All righty, next up is Dan Hope from 11 Warriors with Austin Ward on deck. Dan.
Hey, Josh, what's it been like having Kerry Coombs working with you guys this year?
It's been a lot different. He brings energy. He brings a lot of energy, but it's fun. Him coming down from the Titans, I think having that experience and actually knowing what to do to get to the next level, I think it actually worked good for us.
How is kind of that dynamic between him and Matt Barnes in terms of coaching you guys?
I'd say it's turned. They're both exciting guys, but they both love the game just like we do. So they just kind of push us to get us better every day.
Thanks, Josh.
No problem.
All righty, next up, Austin Ward, Letterman Row with Bill Landis on deck. Austin.
Hey, Josh, I know this has been sort of the year that you've been building for, to really take that next step and show people what you can do. What is it, if you're describing it, what is it that you want to prove to people about Josh Proctor this year?
I want to prove that basically I'm here and that my name will be a household name here. That's what I want to prove.
And how are you going to do that?
Like Coach said, just being more consistent and improving as a player.
And when you've watched that, you said you watched a few times there, the Fiesta Bowl. What is it that you're looking at? We know you made some big plays. We know the upside. I assume you're focusing on the bad ones. What did you notice, and how do you take those into this year?
Just focusing on the little details. I think that was my biggest problem last year. I wanted to make that play or just be in that moment all the time, and I can't do that. So,
thanks, man.
All right, time for 2 more questioners. We'll start with Bill Landis from The Athletic. Bill?
Josh, you kind of touched on this earlier, but with Coach Barnes making it sound like you could play up in the box a little more, whether that's covering man-to-man or just, filling in and run support. What do you like about playing in that area of the field a little closer to the line of scrimmage?
I'm a physical guy. I like being physical. I don't care how big you are. So I think that's what I like about being down there.
Do you have – I know there were times last year where you get to walk up a little bit, but prior to that, how much experience did you have playing in those kind of positions?
I didn't really have a lot of experience. I was used to being their free safety, just warming back there. So it was kind of new to me.
Thanks.
All right, and the last questioner for Josh will be Brendan Gulick from Buckeyes Now on Sports Illustrated. Brendan.
Hey, Josh. I want to ask you about your relationship with Coach Barnes in particular, because he was telling us earlier how one of the challenges he faces is trying to develop relationships and coach players that he doesn't have a pre-existing relationship with when he comes to a program for the first time. So obviously you were here when he came here before the start of last season. Can you share with us maybe a story or something about how you and Coach Barnes in particular started to develop a relationship together?
I remember a certain time I actually got sick and I wasn't picking up the phone. I wasn't feeling too good. So he actually found out my address and came to my house, just sat there and talked to me and stuff and made sure I was okay. So I think after that, our relationship really grew.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right, Josh, thank you very, very much for your time today. Have a great practice, and appreciate you talking to our guys today.
Appreciate you. Thank you.